Welcome back for our very last series of the night between Suning and BLG. We are back in Shanghai. The final set awaits, and this is Mr. Barento Razzle Plasm. My name is Jayce.
Wait a minute.
Penko, and yeah, that's right.
You went the full plasm?
I went the full plasm. I know you've changed, but it's good to have you back, sir.
They just keep bringing me back.
I know.
But yeah, it's fun to come into this series. Suning versus BLG, both these teams on their highs and lows, clashing into each other somehow. I am so excited to get right into it, especially after the last perfect game.
That's right.
That's going to be good.
I mean, especially after Suning have kind of broken their streak so far. They're on a very, very tight losing streak there, Raz.
They have that one-game winning streak suddenly. But you're right. They had a slew of defeats. At first, we gave them the caveat as like they lost versus some really great teams. Like just coming into the Chinese New Year's, they lost versus FPX, Invictus Gaming at the end. But you're like, there's Rogue Warriors in there. You're like, well, how did that happen? Yep. And it was just like, you just don't understand how a lot of these losses kept happening. In fact, when they went up against LGD, that was the one where it looked very unclean by them. They were slowly actually just getting dragged into the dumps.
It really was. You were like, should Suning have won that? And then a lot of people saying no. LGD in maybe it was the game 2 there, Raz.
In the last series, it was like the fact that they couldn't close. And wait a minute. I don't mean this one, Mr. Producer. I'm sorry. I know I came and had a discussion with them. I talked about a specific team that couldn't end a game. And this one, Suning couldn't finish a game. They actually just got blown away. This is the one I'm talking about. Okay. The one where LGD had that game 2. They were just about to clean up house. In fact, the fact that they were this close in game 2 of this series, about to slaughter Suning, but then get caught in the bottom side of their map. Just remember the context here. They had Baron, Elder Dragon, pushing Wave. You have a split pusher top side on Ian. There's no real way you get caught and lose here. In fact, when this ends up happening, you'll get to see it. Yep, sadness, isn't it? Lies ends up falling. Kramer reasonably sees this situation and just backs up off. But usually when you recognize that, okay, you can reset, come back and make the same play. Open hit bottom lane. They did nothing. Like, so while I am just upset with how LGD played that, the reality of the situation is Suning won that game, went into a game 3, beat down LGD in the third one.
Convincingly in that
Convincingly,
third one.
But like they could have been in a 6-series losing streak. Take a look at Suning now. XiaoAL, Hacker is back. Maple in the mid lane, and in the bottom side of the map, Smlz and SwordArT.
Of course, Hacker and Maple back in the mid lane, still trying to figure out what works well. But in BLG, ADD, Metoer, Kuro, Jinjiao, and Mini. And Kuro, that smug look on his face tells me one thing, and that this man is looking good as well.
He's confident. I've never seen a more confident Kuro in my life. I know that his regular season days in the LCK have just been strong. Yeah. And he's been constantly hitting the bar of that, you know, MVP of the season kind of title. But this time around, not only does he have, okay, Hacker, you better stop bouncing around, buddy. They're feeling good right now.
Feel great.
But for BLG, their vision control has been strong. The team around them, Metoer and many of, like, as rookies, have really come up into their own. But you already saw Hacker. I spoke to Method, the manager for Suning, coming into this series.
Yep.
Realizing that they just won their last series, they are not only visibly happy about it, but he talked about how, you know, the spirits have been lifted as a team. And you kind of have to just win that one series. It doesn't matter how poorly you play. It doesn't matter who it's up against. Winning, finally realizing this is what it feels to win again. Remember, they were 4-0 at the beginning of this split.
Before Chinese New Year.
Before Chinese New Year's, they were undefeated. And then they get to this whole losing streak. And then as they were going down, you can tell that they were visibly upset, that they were just not on the same page. Smlz, who had won 2 best of the Rifts in a row, comes into just constant feeding phases. Like, I come into this, or at least I came into week 3 saying that Smlz was probably the best player to not have made Worlds. And then after his few weeks of performances, I'm like, okay, maybe Duembi makes that case now.
Yeah, he does.
You have to be that man in consistency, and I think Smlz as of late has, for the first time in his career, lost that consistency.
At least now with that win back on the board, you know, talk about resetting the mental. Well, it's good for Suning because coming into this matchup, BLG are a team that are starting to approach the upper echelon, are a team that are starting to get into that strength of schedule, and a win over them, that would bring Suning back up into playoff contention.
Yeah, so this is where it all gets, to your point, this is where it can get wacky. Because BLG, they are around that 4th place spot. And then you're right about the whole strength of schedule. In the fact for them, it's gotta be like the most daunting schedule they could have ever had. They're going up against the best 5 teams in the LPL in the last 2 weeks of play. So they're going to be looking good, and they better feel good, look good, go to the gym, everything. Because when you're going up against TOP, RNG, EDG, IG, like you just go up against a bunch of them, you may not feel good at the end of it.
But I tell you what, if Kuro's playing this well, I'm feeling pretty good for BLG.
That's true. I hear that.
Bit of a play style transition rather in that mid lane, Raz.
He has played 5 assassins throughout this split. Now, of course, the bulk of it is just based off of the Akali and LeBlanc. We're never going to see the Akali again. I apologize to people. 9.4 now. We might not see that champion ever.
But we will see the LeBlanc.
But I will, exactly, yes. And the point that I'm making is that throughout all of it, like previous splits in the LCK that he's had, he has never played as many assassins as he's played in the LPL. Not only is he acclimating, you know, when in Rome, but also just recognizing that he has to change something up about himself. He has to improve as a player, because gearing up for a best of 5, when Kuro finds himself in real pressure situations where people go up against him in a best of 5 out of the Worlds or a playoff setting, they know who they're going up against. And that's bad. You want to at least, you know, have a question mark in preparation when you're going up against a player in a best of 5, because longer series, there's going to be a point where you have to adapt. And oftentimes, Kuro hasn't been that kind of player, so it seems like he's developing into that kind of a player. Not only is he a captain of the team, but seems like he has a few tricks up his sleeve.
It throws something into the spin of things.
Yes.
When you put him up against Maple, who, once upon a time, I put Maple into Kuro and I say, well, Maple is probably going to play the assassin, he's probably going to play something a little more dangerous. Now this matchup just gets better. And I'm starting to favor Kuro in it as well.
I know, right? It's crazy how development happens. It's like watching your favorite show, and then suddenly in episode 5, you're like, what the heck? Because suddenly you start questioning the hero of the story. You're like, this guy's going to die real soon. But like in the case of Suning, like Maple has just not been performing. There had been questions when he joined LPL initially. He had that international swagger. Everyone has seen him in international tournaments time and again. But when you go up against top-tier competitors, and I'm talking about, you know, the greats of like Rookie. To be honest, now you see TOP's mid laner as well. Like you just get there are so many fantastic mid laners, not only in the top portions of the league, but I'm talking about like CA in the bottom portions of the league as well.
Icon's been here for so long.
So talent is a question. And so for Maple, who has been so talented in the first 3, like in Season 3, Season 4, you know, suddenly you're in the new season. You got to be able to keep up, and he hasn't been. So it makes a lot of sense that they've been throwing in Angel at times, throwing in the same champion pool. So Angel hasn't been changing his style. He's coming in with the LeBlanc.
Same environment for Angel as well.
And he's been commanding more pressure from his junglers. So it's nice to see the hacker come back alongside Maple, get that chance. Remember, it's a best of 3. If they fail in this game of the series, they're more than willing to bring in Wei and Angel in game 2.
That's right. They've been mixing and matching that mid and jungle duo. And while, just further to your point as well, from Korea, from LMS, what do you favor in terms of shifting playstyle and moving to the LPL in both Kuro and Maple?
Ooh, in terms of playstyle, I will, okay, in terms of both, actually. Both I will always favor LCK. And when it comes to the LMS, there's always the asterisk of, this is Flash Wolves, though. The rest of it's just usually bad. So in terms of like, you know, the Suning players coming in, Maple and SwordArT, you have a lot of faith that they'll do it at the end of the day.
Fair enough. We've never had to ask that question, but I'm glad we finally have the mid lane matchup that we can get excited about. But 9.4, remember, let's go into game 1 with Cassiopeia on blue side. Very different feeling already in this first game.
A little bit, yeah. I remember in the first series of today, we see Rek'Sai getting banned and prioritized. He got that change where his ultimate is super reliable. You know, Conqueror's got that change as well. Remember, 9.2, 9.4, that's such a huge leap for us in the LPL. So you got to believe that Hacker, who has been so strong at, you know, the Rek'Sai in the past, would go towards it.
We've gone past the 80 carry patch, straight into 9.4, and the depth of it shows a Jayce first pick for Suning.
Ooh, given the Jayce, so you expect it to go towards XiaoAL. If you see the LEC around the world, they are not even concerned about the flex options like Invictus Gaming are. They're saying, no, this Jayce is going top. You just got to do something about it, because we're going to tag team it with a fairly impactful jungle as well.
A couple of teams in the LPL that can flex this Jayce around. Glad to see Suning picking it up here in this first game. LeBlanc is what you wanted to see from Kuro.
Yep.
Not shifting playstyles here to start things off.
I was wondering. My question was, the Akali's been stripped away from you from Riot Games Incorporated. So, like, who are you going to tag team? Is it just going to be the LeBlanc? This time around, he says, of course it is.
It's a good assassin matchup, but what does he play it into? Will it finally be the Jayce? We will find out. BLG. This is a Kalista again. Okay, Jinjiao.
The Kalista is wonderful. I mean, you got the one adaptation that we've been seeing with the Kalista has been the move from lethal tempo to Hail of Blades. Yep. Hail of Blades is just wonderful. There is no seconds you have to wait for you to actually get the movement speed. I mean, you can be hopping around. The short trades have been so strong for her, so it makes a lot of sense. You do have to be a little bit worried. Lucian has not been banned here, and you'd like to see the Lucian pick into it.
But maybe not going to come through in the first phase. Could be banned out by BLG as Suning lockdown Ryze and the Alistar to at least half secure their bottom lane.
This has been a big shift. For Suning, in the past, they'd usually go towards the Tahm Kench and Ezreal almost religiously. Yeah. In fact, they are the ones that banned the Tahm Kench. In the previous series, it was just getting, tossed between one team or another because when you go up against Suning, you almost expect it to be a priority in first phase. Yep. This time around, they're saying we're going to ban out the Tahm Kench priority, pick the Alistar, and you're never sure what that actually means. Maybe they go Ezreal in the second phase. Maybe they go like a Kai'Sa in second phase because that's just a great form of engage, and you can prioritize bottom lane. The best thing about an Alistar is you can move away from it, so you can head topside towards the Jayce, or you can actually just play to it pretty consistently and try and gank that lane excessively.
Also seeing the Tristana come through tonight as well in the 80 carry with the Infinity Edge changes, but we'll question that as we go into the second ban phase.
But that is a good point. Tristana coming back with the Infinity Edge changes. Like, crit changes are huge for that champion because she is such a reliable laner now going up against the Kalista in this option. Remember, the Tristana of old loved this matchup.
Yep.
Pair it up with an Alistar, she just goes all in. There's nothing a Kalista can do. So we also saw like lethal tempo coming in as an option alongside the Tristana pick. So in this series, I expect it to be an option.
Very true, because BLG have left that open. Double jungle ban onto Hacker, Lee Sin, and the Rek'Sai in the first rotation.
This is going to be a big question mark of Smlz as a player. Does he go towards the three options of Lucian, Ezreal, or Tristana? I personally love Tristana here, but he is as a player would favor towards Ezreal first and foremost, and then goes towards the Lucian.
What works best going up into this Braum? I don't want to even see a Fiddlesticks hovered over there from BLG.
Yeah, some good games, man.
He did.
Mostly bad.
But some good. Not good enough for me. What is, though, Suning onto the Lucian like you were mentioning there before. Just fits so nicely here.
So, I wonder how he's going to build. He's the type of player in 9.2 era where he just goes Essence Reaver over the other attack speed options.
True.
That's not an option anymore. So I just love to see what kind of build he goes towards naturally, because he favors skill and outplay ability over just what's stock standard.
I think I've seen some wacky Spear of Shojin Lucian, just as a note as well. Is it wacky enough for the LPL? Suning will give us an answer to that. That is a Jinjiao as the final pick there for Hacker.
That's the pick we wanted to see. Remember, we're talking about what's going to tag team with the Jayce. Jayce was the priority here early on in this game. BLG, I know they've been holding on to their top lane pick, but there's not much you actually can do if they prioritize the right jungler. So for me, I was thinking maybe there's the Elise pick that they can look towards. So I love the fact that BLG say, okay, well, guess what? We're going to go straight for the Lee Sin and Rek'Sai and force you on that option. If she doesn't get the first gank topside, she ends up failing pretty easily versus the Jarvan. Jarvan can farm a lot faster. Yep. Can go towards like the Krugs and Raptors a little easier. Xin Zhao's a good option. He just doesn't want to fall behind, so we're going to have to see what Suning can do here in the early game.
I like, though, that the final pick there for BLG was a Sion on the top lane, ADD playing something safe. A lot of the time, when you look back at BLG, you'll notice us talking about the laning phase of ADD especially. And with the Sion, a lot of safety as that Jayce stared him in the face from minute one.
I mean, he's the type of player that just plays Sion no matter the meta. If no one likes Sion and there's a Jayce in the top lane, he'll be like, I don't care. I will play it. He is the innovator of Sion when it was just literally outside of the meta, and favored it because, you know, he would have his Q and it would always have the same range as the auto attack of Jayce. So you can very reliably push him away from you. and be able to farm up easily. So he's going into this one with a lot of experience in the matchup.
Should be pushed away by the Jayce. Again, it was the Jayce locked in and the Ryze in the mid lane, finally.
I smiled somehow. Or is that Photoshop?
I reckon that's Photoshop.
Yeah, you never know. You can't trust these kids nowadays. At the age of 10, they'd be teaching you Photoshop. 10 years old, running around knowing how to distort faces.
I swear I saw him smile just then as well. It's a rare sight. Smlz picked up your Lucian. A win here for Suning. They were already jovial to start off this game before we even got into picks and bans. Like to see smiles on the face of everyone of Suning, because this is a game that is essentially like the last one. It feels like a must-win for Suning to put themselves back on top.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy to come into this scenario, week 7 nearing week 8, and Suning are outside of the playoffs. They need to start ramping up. BLG is the opponent they need to feel good against. If they take this series to the core, hey, they lose it, that's fine as long as they have a marked improvement in their play. That's what I'm looking for.
I'm looking to see Suning return to super team form. Top 3 is where we pitted them, but as they have fallen, so have our expectations of Suning. In Shanghai, in the Hongqiao Arena, we find out if they'll be tested by BLG and they return to being a super team.
Are there really LGD chants at this time of day? Well, you know what? I knew they were coming back. I knew they were coming back.
I said this before to Preacher, but our audience in Shanghai has just been let off the chain.
Look, every morning I check the North American ladder just to see where TSM is, because the audience gets silent if TSM is below the 50, if they're not doing too well.
Very true.
But if the hype is coming back and we're getting closer to internationals, then you'll see the rogue TSM champ happen in the the LPL.
You definitely will. But we'll have to wait. We've got to get to international first. Ryze, I want to point your attention to something. Instead of the electrocute on Jarvan, Metoer has opted in for the new Conqueror, as well as XiaoAL in the top lane on the Jayce.
I've been seeing that a few more times on the J4. Something to recognize with Conquerors, even though it did get the nerf between the 9.2 and 9.4 patches, is that it's just so good on melees. Compare it to the ranged champions. If you hit somebody, it's 2 seconds before it falls off. Versus on melee champions, it takes 8 seconds. 8 damn seconds before you fall off your stack. So being able to be in longer fights, especially in team fights, get it to a point where you're fully stacked and suddenly like the true damage, HP coming back into, like all of that sounds amazing. And so it's a nice late game option.
Especially when the ease ability of Metoer sticking to his opponent is going to be there. Especially if you see one of those early ganks as he cleans out the scuttle down towards the bot side of the map and goes back to blue. Pathing going to be very important here from both Hacker and Metoer, especially since some early action to be expected.
You expect Jinjiao to be prioritizing top side. If he had decided to force a vertical jungling, I wouldn't be mad about that either, just because he has no interest in that bottom side of the map. You can already see him going here. It's the wave crashing as well, so he's kind of here dual purpose. Take Krugs, while at the same time assuring that XiaoAL will have pushed this out and not get dove. Usually if you can do this on the top side of the map successfully, what can Jarvan do realistically? Oftentimes, like early on in the season, enemy junglers would be like, I can take your Krugs too. Guess what? I'm going to move in. I'm going to... No, wait. Even if the bottom lane gets pushed in, the support will have avoided it, would have started to contest me. I get pushed off. I waste a lot of time. We see him moving towards it, but it's a very real risk to be doing this on the red side.
Yeah, he was spotted out as well. A couple of pings going down, or at least that was from
XiaoAL,
but Hacker maybe going to commit to it. No chicken.
It's an Alistar. This is very hard. Doesn't matter how large the wave is. Yeah, get the hell out of here.
Metoer thinks against it, just getting pushed in still, but that's a 12 CS lead in the bottom lane anyway. That's just going to make it harder.
Yeah, it's a very scary meta to ever look for these dives because you're running around against Shen, Alistar, and Braum supports. Like, how are you going to really dive that? You'd have to play it perfectly, especially with all summoners up and available.
You can see coming down to the bottom lane is Hacker as well, maybe to respond and see if that Jarvan sticks around. But maybe just to clear out some of his own jungle and recover from the damages. But even trades if we're looking at enemy jungle camps taken.
Yeah, enemy camp. So far, I'm just preferring Hacker's pathing. Getting Krugs is usually something that will ding him up in levels. You already see the level difference for Hacker. He's much higher just because of how he's able to get the Krug camp experience difference, so that's always a positive. And then you compare now the mid laners. Oh, it seems like we're just looking at Sion. Yep, I can understand that. But I already do know that. Like, I'm just putting that out there. We do know what the Sion changes are. Thankfully, I have my own patch notes.
Oh, okay. And, in our mother tongue, it seems like. Of course, Sion in lane. Seems to be the one that you see over and over in 9.2. Going to be no change as Metoer comes to the top side of the map. Is spotted out. So XiaoAL just going to pop down a ward anyway. Really no threat here as the Sion continues to get pushed in. CS discrepancies you'd expect with the melee versus ranged matchup. Even down to the bottom lane, more action. SwordArT might be caught out here. A couple of spears in him, so big trades coming across as Jinjiao can't get the rend in time.
Ooh, but you already see like Jinjiao leaning towards this lane. Unfortunate that the ward's going to catch him out. But he's in the right side of the map no matter what, because the RNG Scuttle has just spawned bot side, so it doesn't really matter. He's going to get collapsed on, though. I
mean, Hacker's still here. They have to face check it just for the Scuttle and knocked all the way up. Jinjiao not in a good position. Claws his way back with the heal in too. Suni getting turned on. 3 versus 4. Teleport too late here from the top side of the map. They do get the stun down onto Metoer. Where is the collapse as Kuro comes in as well? 5 versus 4. And Suni not willing to pull the trigger to turn it back around.
Still, good TP from XiaoAL to be able to assure that BLG move away from that. I think that ultimately BLG will still benefit getting Scuttle Crab being on the right side of the map early. A lot of HP was traded back in favor of BLG, so I think the setup was good unless if Hacker is persistent.
Which it looks like he is. Lane gank in the making. Big wave pushing up to the turret. But doesn't look like a possibility at this point. Might be a back instead.
Yeah, okay. Just making sure that Jarvan doesn't make a repeat bot side. They knew that Jarvan was taking Scuttle Crab, but had no idea what his intentions are.
Also securing the fact, or rather knowing the fact that Hacker doesn't have flash makes it that much harder to get into that lane. Big wave actually pushing up here for ADD. That doesn't mean anything whatsoever because XiaoAL is having a party in the top lane. No serrated Dirk yet, but it's still too much to handle as a Sion.
Kind of broke that hold right here is what you saw from XiaoAL. So if I'm Sion, it should be fine. Just looking a look at his inventory, he doesn't have a trinket just yet. So I would say all he needs to do is completely push this in and look for a base. Thankfully, he has Jarvan behind him. It's a good look for some of the great teams in the league. If you watch fairly closely at the teams like LGD, actually the best example would be Rogue Warriors. Okay. Oftentimes their top laners would have like a great shove. Jinjiao or Zhao Yun would have a great shove in lane, would be looking for a push under tower, and then would be unprotected by their jungler. So you want to be able to see this. In fact, a great example for anybody out there is watching EDG versus Rogue Warriors, where Clearlove did literally 1.9k damage as a Jarvan. Yeah. So like 0 damage all game long, but was in the right position at the right time, had been able to allow his top laner to get the dives under tower. So like he was a great menace for the enemy top lane and mid laners, but he himself did nothing in terms of like adding damage to the fight. So it's like, it's basically just a 101 at how to play jungle and pressure for your lanes.
Yeah, especially since if we're talking about Jarvan specifically, we're going to see a lot more coming into this patch, a lot more into the LPL. So that shadowing becomes even more important considering that Jarvan is going to be the easiest one to make it happen. When you look at the jungle matchup this game, level 6 already hit by Metoer as Choo Choo Train joins the top lane again just to get the wave. Hacker behind in experience now as Metoer has caught up due to that bottom lane interface from Hacker.
You mentioned how Metoer, a good point in level 6. What I would like for him to do is to look to get Cloud Dragon early on. A lot of the times teams don't go for it simply because it provides the least for teams. Oh, Jayce! Oh my god!
Can't wait to Jinjiao. That does force the flash. I'll take a worth any day. As soon as he's slowed down by the Winter's Bite, might have saved a life.
Didn't want to use his flash early on, but now he's in a position where he's super low in HP, doesn't want to back either, and is in dive range. That's where you're making the decision of how much do you want to save your flash, and he's used that you played that very dangerous game. Thankfully, he's beside a tank support that will heal him up with target.
And Jinjiao just hit level 6 as well, so Jarvan's down to the bottom side of the map. Metoer can make his way into this lane with level 6 himself. There is a potential to gank pretty soon.
Well, you see from Jinjiao, he doesn't even give a damn that he's walking through the mid lane because he wants to be bot side to essentially like look to pressure and give space for Smlz. He's getting dived on.
Waiting for that Fade's call, does force the flash. Mini's here as well, just glacial fishes into the middle of it. Cataclysm up and available for Metoer. He dunks on the AD carry. First blood over to Kalista, and it's Jinjiao. Now the fight from back to front with Hacker into the mix. He just wants to get away. A wrong move here as BLG, they get their assassin mid laner a kill too.
The moment Hacker and Maple ended up coming to the bottom lane, you could tell they didn't know how to play it out. Did they want to completely leave because Smlz had fallen, or did they have a chance at a fight? That could have costed Hacker his life. He got dinged by Braum passive and slow, but the reaction from the rest of BLG wasn't fast enough to look for the kill. So really difficult for Suning. I mean, they were moving towards the right part of the map. You could see Hacker and Maple moving bottom lane. It was visible what they wanted out of the team, but Smlz and SwordArT had already pushed out the lane before the setup even started.
Opens up the Cloud Drake, Mountain coming up next as well. BLG, small gold lead here, and it might even mean closer to the first item for Kuro. Is a bit of a dive onto ADD. The Decimating Smash going to be massive thing here. Maple under turret. He's taken way too many. Turret just in case is what it's saying. XiaoAL's even slowed down. ADD, what a 1v2.
He is a Sion connoisseur. What did I tell you, man? This guy went to the gym and just bulked up on that Sion. He knew how to play it out. There were just 2 to 3 minions that were coming in, just dying to the tower naturally. So he recognized that it would be very bad very soon for Suning if they looked for that dive. It was just hard for Maple to ever look for that. The fact that he willingly tanked up, that he threw out his Q just as Sion was already just nearing the end of his Q animation. I don't know what Maple was thinking in that instance.
He thought die.
Wrong person to die.
Wrong answer. At least you look at the side of BLG after that fight and you're like, all right, cool. There was a flash expended by Maple to make that trade happen while ADD still held on to his. But what happened in the mid lane was the first item picked up by Kuro while the roam out of Ryze.
Yeah, there's so much good happening here for BLG. Not only the top lane was ending up like repelling the push from Maple. Maple lost his flash for that. In this matchup, that could mean certain death here when Luden's got picked up, as you said.
Yep.
Dragon going down means that the RNG goes towards Mountain next time around. And BLG's composition works so well around these larger objectives that they want to be able to hit. Neutral objectives, next one's going to be Mountain, as you mentioned. But like, then after that, maybe it's a Mountain. Maybe it's all they want to do is stack it up so when it hits the 30-minute mark, they start thinking about placing vision for Elder Dragon or going topside for Baron. You have a Kalista, LeBlanc. And with how well the vision game has been for BLG, that means multiple assassination setups. Or, if they're already on the objective itself, then Kalista, Ren, and Smite Smlz. They've given themselves so many win conditions if they can set up around these neutral objectives.
ADD has teleport as well, so this next fight is going to be big, especially with the Sion ultimate. XiaoAL and Maple is going to be the response with double TP on their side. As you mentioned before, Kuro has a bit of a lead here in this lane, so his potency is going up as he pushes the mid lane wave in, and vision getting resetted by BLG in that bottom side river.
I'm just concerned for Suning. I mean, they have been set up so well for just the early lanes and the 1-3-1 that one problem I foresee is that if they ever get pressure, with how poorly they've been playing their previous series, as I say, that's SwordArT.
I mean, he's going to find a pick here if he can jump onto Kuro, but Chains lock him down, and Metoer is going to back away before taking the red buff.
I wonder if they're committed to this. They're bringing in their bottom lane, but then they're just going to peace out.
Red buff resets. Maple's not going anywhere near it as well. Where you going, Maple? Back to the mid lane for you.
All right, all right. I think they could have stayed a little longer, just because Kuro had that lane pushing out. Could have easily rejoined them as well. I think they were just uncertain as to TP timings, if XiaoAL had a good TP ward, if Hacker was going to find himself in a good area to use his ultimate. If you're going up against a Jinjiao with ulti in a very small, confined space, it feels so difficult to fight into that. So there were just a lot of anomalies they didn't really, foresee.
Yeah, part of that play for BLG, though, was still playing off the fact that Maple doesn't have his flash yet. Being aggressive through the mid lane into the enemy jungle, and still Maple has a bit of time before he gets that back online.
So how the matchup ends up going. I mean, Aftershock Ryze is always something that, for me, is always fun to watch. I just love seeing insufferable nonsense.
Oh, yeah.
Like, whenever LeBlanc goes in for a trade, she's out of mana now because when she goes for it, Maple doesn't lose a lot of HP. All you have to do is Rune Prism, and you don't follow it up with anything. You just get the innate, magic resist that comes along with it. And so the trade turns null and void just because the Aftershock duration is long enough for the LeBlanc burst to go through. So you just mitigate so much.
We're getting to the point, though, where the LeBlanc burst is just going to be too much. Or rather, it's going to have too much of a cooldown to mean anything. But as turret play going down here, we're not at that point just yet. We're at a point where BLG is still in a comfortable gold lead, but 2 kills, 14 minutes, slower pace of game for BLG.
It's just bad for Suning. For the game pace to be this slow, for BLG to be so fine in lane, that allows ADD to like outside the laning phase. He's already built up his frozen heart,
yeah.
And looking at how the team fights end up going for, like XiaoAL and Smlz never want to see him in a fight, but I don't think they have that choice.
They're definitely not going to. With being able to withstand this lane now as well, Black Cleaver not going to make too much of a difference. Waiting for that serrated Dirk from XiaoAL maybe to get somewhere.
You know what time it is?
Is it Dragon time?
Dragon time!
It's a mountain. I'm feeling. BLG have full control down this bottom side.
Oh, it's top lane time. Can he hit him?
I mean, ADD still has
Playing
ultimate.
baseball.
He pops him out of the way. XiaoAL hopping on top of him again. Hang on. Is ADD going to die? He still has ultimate, but XiaoAL may be able to force him out of lane, but it is a Sion.
Yep, and you also see the Frozen Heart paying off. It felt like just a slow motion take. Every time he was throwing out an auto attack, it was just, please, pump out damage. It wasn't looking good.
Yeah, it's super rough, paying in dividends, but at least XiaoAL's still able to push that match up in. He's 30 CS up in the top lane, and now has teleport for this bottom lane dragon.
Sion trying his hardest to just chug down corrupting potions because he recognized this is the fight that he needs to be there for. And he needs to be healthy for it. If he's coming in half HP, he is going to be their sole real frontliner. If you're looking at Minia and his Braum, not long enough, Lucian is going to be able to tear straight through him. So I'm really looking at how ADD can keep topped up just long enough for this fight to start.
Because we're expecting this to be soon. BLG have cornered around this triangular brush, and Meteor's invading again, but Control Ward in the back of Dragon Pit means it is going to be spotted out. BLG aren't stopping.
I think LeBlanc has enough pressure in lane. It really depends on how that wave's going, but SwordArt's feeling it.
Yeah, they found a pick. The concussive blows are going to land on the SwordArt. Chain of CC there as well. The Rend to slow him down, but Meteor not willing to go in. Culling's there too with the Glacial Fissure down. Smlz just outside of range. Ultimate expended.
Really didn't have to use the Glacial Fissure. They were in a great position. Alistar has no ultimate, no HP. Honestly, to be fair, there's no way Suning take this fight anyways. I think this is just going to be another dragon going to BLG.
Reset the timer, give us another one. BLG continue going forward in this early game. 16 minutes in, and let's see what it is.
But this is the thing you like to see. As we play that, you know, roll the dice. Let's see what the next dragon is. It's going to take some time before you find out. You can make your guesses.
What do you like
Infernal.
to see? It's an Infernal.
No!
It's quite the opposite.
All right, fine. But
so, yeah,
I just like this because we've talked about how many control wards they end up placing, and it's usually in the right spots. But I want to see them making the best of it. Usually if you look at the stats document, you're like, my goodness, this team places so many control wards, but it's just, why are they still such a bad team? Like for the likes of LGD, they know that they can spam control wards on the map, but they have to keep replacing them because they constantly lose pressure, back timings are awful. For BLG, the control wards that are on the map, stay on the map. And as you already saw with the pick that they had on SwordArT, they didn't get the kills, but they got a free dragon, free push in mid lane, all because of that. And so you want to be able to see this so much more often from BLG, because this is what makes playoff teams.
Yeah. It's defensive vision at the moment, but holding that vision further to your point seems to be quite easy at the moment. We've got a bit of a stalemate, though, at this point in the game. BLG still holding to their lanes. A long laning phase here in the game is quite rare to see in the LPL. But if we're going to see it between any team, it had to start with Suning, and it makes sense that BLG are amping up to this point in the game. As Kuro just runs into Maple. Yeah, that's annoying.
Isn't that fun?
All he did was auto Kuro once.
The moment you see a LeBlanc rushing you, Aftershock, walk away. You know, and that's just how life goes. Wake up in the morning and you Aftershock.
Get him real Anomicon, that'll be alright. Might do a bit more damage, about half.
You'd like to believe that.
But you probably won't.
By that point, Ryze would have items. All right, Kuro.
So Kuro's like, I'm not dealing with it, going to bottom lane. Smartly placed ward there by Suning, so although BLG denying a lot of vision, there's none in the river at the moment.
It's one of the longest laning phases I've seen in an LPL game.
Yeah.
It's one of those real nice and cool moments when you watch the LCK and you're like, man, I wish we had this much time to talk just about the game state. Because in the LPL, it's just constant nonsense. Like good nonsense, and then there's bad nonsense. There's the WE versus Snake nonsense, where you're like, I don't know if this is the right play, but somehow benefited you.
It's 10 minutes. What are you doing?
and then like the top teams like FPX nonsense where it's always good stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just get to talk about the setup because for both of these teams, they do just focus on that. Suning is one of the least bloodiest teams in the LPL. No, they are, actually. They are currently, like, no matter what time frame in the game, the later the game goes on, they focus on the control and vision wards, where they place it, and getting that one big team fight. So expect this one to go 40 minutes. That's a barrier.
Yep. Of course, unsealed spellbook on the side. Why
He's
not?
getting
I think ADD can 1v1
Oh, he's
this.
getting smacked.
Hang on. Sion
Get
versus
him.
Jayce. Who's meant to win this? Decimating smash now, waiting for the shield. Roar of the Slayer. In comes Kuro. Sniped down. XiaoAL underneath his own turret. No place like home, but it's not safe. Maple might be next.
Yeah, Maple probably doesn't know it yet, but he's already dead. We'll have to see how long it takes if his Aftershock is going to do him any good.
Decimating smash again. The flag's in. Maple might be out with the
Aftershock.
overload here and the Seraph's embrace. But embracing underneath turret, ADD has to flash as
die.
well. It just turns on. He eventually does. And Aftershock Ryze, thank you very much.
This is beautiful, isn't it? BLG doubled down on the play to get the Ryze, and they even brought in the extra member, Braum and Kalista, coming out of nowhere to get the assured kill. It all starts with big ADD, man. You don't expect it from the man. He knows Sion so well. You give him the matchup, you play it long enough, and he comes right back.
Not sure how that happened. XiaoAL in a deficit.
I just want to see how it all started through the mini-map. My favorite part of the map. Essentially, when Sion knew he could go all in, the wave was starting to push underneath Jayce's tower. He knew that if he at least got enough damage on the Jayce, the dive was possible. So just taking a look at it, he didn't really have the members coming just yet. LeBlanc and Jarvan were just making the move as he was starting the trade. So he recognized, I can keep going. Even throwing that ultimate. Yeah, pop him right back up. Pop it. It doesn't even matter if there's just 4 minions. 4 minions, good enough for me. Kuro just coming in, popping the Ignite as well, just to, salt on the wound. And then I wonder how long we can look at this play. Okay, nothing's happening in live as well.
Otherwise we're just going to go again. But.
Yeah, because Meteor and Kuro just go right on in. You even see Braum joining in the fun because Maple made it hard for them. 2 phases of shields. Just like shield on top of shield, and in between he had the Aftershock resistances. It took some time.
That's rough. Good flash there as well to dodge away from the decimating smash, but this time it might be the same again. XiaoAL doesn't have his flash available, but there's a lot of damage going down on a Meteor. The turnaround as the teleport comes in from Maple, ready to come in. Rumor has Realm Warp available here, but the decimating smash again, but full vision, they dodge away. Realm Warp now being used. BLG from the other side. Realm Warp doesn't get taken through, and Suning look for the lockdown. It's onto Jinjiao. He jumps away. Hippity hoppity, he's out. Suning can't find the chase any longer, but maybe a Cloud Drake will do.
Yeah, they'll take the Cloud Dragon, but they'll lose mid lane pressure. Currently, I value that mid lane pressure. That's LeBlanc going to be pushing you right. Oh, actually, they're throwing Smlz into the mix. I like this quite a bit. Not only are they covering for the weaknesses through mid, but they're going to be able to get this dragon and roll the dice.
Straight back to the mid lane. Wave pushed out and nullified there as Smlz joins just in case. Next is going to be Mountain. So we're not getting the full Infernal Blaze that we wanted. But with the 2k gold lead for BLG,
this is dangerous. This is very dangerous because I don't even think Suning wanted this to happen, where they recognize the opposing team has more pressure. They also have a Mountain Dragon. They have a Kalista in that composition, so that's Blade of the Rune King, Ren stacks. Essentially everything that you do not want for a team that's going to be focusing on Baron Nashor.
Yeah.
Now next one's going to be Mountain Dragon. What are they going to do? Suning is almost forced now to force that fight if BLG want to go for the next one. So right now if you're BLG, slow the game down. Move to the next dragon, and Suning have to be the ones to stop you.
Slowed it down to a point where they're not even moving. Sitting in a brush, Kuro waiting for the pick.
Press S for yes. That's what I'm talking about.
There's still 2 items on LeBlanc, 2 items on Kalista. And you've slowed the game to a point where you now have a 2-item Sion. Gargoyle Stoneplate. ADD just running all over the place, doesn't care right now.
His job at this point is to just clear out the adjacent jungle. He doesn't have any control wards on him now, but it's nice to just have him essentially play patrolman, because his job is not only to keep the bottom lane at an even state, so it's not pushing in on his inner tower, but to look for a possible flank underneath this tower. It looks like he's coming in front to back, but I think Braum can do it on his own. Braum can be the person to be alongside Jarvan in a forced front to back. Sion being in a flank position is usually really beneficial.
That's a lot of damage. Yeah, pops the Unbreakable Will. This is the ability of Kuro right now. That's kind of rough. Sion will go back down to the bottom lane while Jayce will come back up. You see the itemization here from XiaoAL acting accordingly into the annoying Sion. That's when you know Last Whisper here heading towards the second item, or he might just sit on that until the Serrated Dirt gets upgraded.
Might not want to. I mean, we'll have to see how he ends up going. I think could evolve into Youmuu's or Duskblade. I would say Youmuu's is nice.
Yep.
A lot of the times, the thing from stopping him to getting the kill on top of Jarvan or a LeBlanc is literally just movement speed, getting slowed down so frequently in these fights, so Youmuu's Ghostblade would certainly help.
So you should have enough gold to pocket it after going back. Been sitting in the side lane for quite a while. Remember, XiaoAL does have the teleport while BLG skirting around this Baron. Still trying to bait Suning in. Still going slow as Kuro. Fancy his chances onto Smlz. And to be fair, Smlz still no QSS. One lockdown from Kuro, and that is it for the AD carry of Suning.
Yeah, he's more worried about the damage. The electrocute proc on top of just the chains that he has. He already has so much AP on top of him. LeBlanc is a real threat if she ends up getting the 3-hit spike. So W on top of your head, Q, chain. We already saw how much damage it really does to an Alistar. Lucian would get shredded.
I can tell you one thing though. Kuro and ADD must be going like, feels just like home. Because this is a game that is truly pace of an LCK1. The pace of what Kuro's used to in a Freak of Freaks.
You know, that's true. It's real fun because for both SwordArT and Kuro, coming in from regions that are really slow paced. Like,
very true.
The LMS takes a lot of their playstyle, I would say, from Korea. So you see a lot of slower paced teams. Sure, there you have some great team fighters teams that try and force the pressure. But a lot of the times you see both regions trying to play around vision control rather than just playing around your lanes and fighting around your solo lane members. So makes a lot of sense that would seem like the shot callers in both of these teams would do what's more comfortable for them. It reminds me of the story of like when Karsa joined RNG. And when you're joining RNG, you're signing up for team fights and a lot of skirmishes. Yep. And when MLXG is playing, my goodness, they play so well, right? Everything just works. He's sitting in the coach in the back. He's like, this shouldn't work, but it is.
But it is going to. Hang on, Kuro. The playstyle's being interrupted. Interrupted by XiaoAL.
Shock blast.
Shock blast blocked by the cone. Clone. Kuro's like, it's not the real one, but he is hoping it was. A real 1v1 potential here out of the top laner of Suning.
You just got to love that clone placement right in front of you. Get that shock blast out of my face.
He didn't want anything to do with it. Meanwhile, BLG, after Kuro gets bursted out, they push mid. Suning still able to defend. Pace briefly interrupted there to a very fast one. But we're right back.
So we're back to where we were setting up initially, where we were saying that BLG, side lanes will not work for them. They are not a team of side lanes. Sion will get bullied out by Ryze and Jayce, and you already saw what happens for LeBlanc. LeBlanc has the jump on you, sure, that's fine. It's a different discussion. But it's going to be hard. They need this Mountain Dragon. So the fact that Suning had taken the Cloud Dragon and it turned into a mountain sucks for Suning.
Yeah, it really does. Let's just reset it. Let's go again. BLG towards the bottom side. There's nothing that Suning can do except maybe threaten the Baron if this gets started up, but BLG not risking it just yet.
That's the Vici special. We've been seeing that early on in the LPL where it's like, hey, you know what? You're prioritizing so heavily towards the Dragon, we'll just go straight for Baron. The problem is Suning's Baron take is fairly slow outside of the Ryze, and they're all fairly squishy champions, so they can't play a longer game.
Finally, when we're starting to see some action happen with the ultimate already in the backline, Meteor goes in, but might have gone too ambitiously. Maybe not. It's all AoE, baby. And SwordArT, even with one pulverized, tempo's too much here for Suning as the drag, maybe flag, comes in. Jinjiao sends some spears straight down the middle, but it's already too late for one. And BLG right back to the Baron.
They really surprised them. That surprised me too. So much time playing this game out, moving towards Dragon. They had such good vision. They had trained Suning into thinking, all right, we need mid lane priority so we can do something about it. And then you start seeing ADG just run you down straight through mid lane.
He was sick of waiting, Ryze. He's sick of standing there doing absolutely nothing but clearing waves.
You wanted to have some fun too.
He's been having fun all game long. Give us the Baron. Thank you very much. Look at where Kuro's going. This 1v1 on Kuro's terms is very viable. Actually pushes XiaoAL off the Mountain Drake. And BLG will keep it alive for their contestant.
Yeah, it's just about whoever gets the jump on who. It's fun that replay starts just from here because from this point forward, it's all you're already done. Like they're already on top of you. Tower's been taken down on the mid lane and they're just headbutt pulverizer, sure. But XiaoAL comes in too late. because he didn't recognize that this was the play that was going to be made. I think Suning, at this point, weren't aware that BLG were setting up for this dive.
Yeah, losing that mid lane turret as well means inhibitor. Turret is now exposed, means that BLG still have to push with a Baron buff. Look at the bottom wave at a pretty standard point, so after this Dragon, big potential that Maple will just have to back off. That inner goes down.
I mean, you got Baron, you got double Mountain, so you can actually just play this split push game now. Like, Kuro, he'll be on side lane, and even though we already saw what happens when XiaoAL is matching him, my worry is that BLG will always have that mid lane pushed out and will be in your jungle.
Okay, in their own jungle. Yes, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Mini didn't read that. That's pretty harsh.
I didn't read that either. Because my play that I was setting up for was LeBlanc going to push bot. Like, there's no way Suning ever try and force her because there's going to be a collapse. But they killed the collapse before it even started up. It was essentially they were pushing so deep, but LeBlanc hadn't even set up the wave bottom lane yet. So it was more so a coordination thing with BLG. Kuro had just killed the wave, but by that time, Braum's already gone.
Yeah. This tempo-based composition, taking one member out of the fray is enough to slow it down. You can see Kuro just wants his pick onto Maple, which he shouldn't be able to find. Again, thank you so much to the resistances of Maple, but even at half health, Kuro just has to go back to the wave, and Suning able to defend so far. Top wave the play now for BLG.
It's the best way to play out while you're behind. You know, 4K behind, but also just compositionally if you can't get yourself on side lanes. Especially with a Warmog's Sion at this point. We'll have to see if he can do too much on it, but like, he's getting hurt.
I mean, he wants to 1v2 apparently. Headbutt Pulverize in ADD, running for his life. Cowbell down, but still too tanky. Ultimate coming in. The train once again. It's too easy here for ADD with the Cataclysm to combine the power of BLG. This anime remake is charging down the inner turret of the top lane.
And LeBlanc's on side too. They can't commit to this one.
ADD again, Decimating Smash won't land onto SwordArT, but it's enough to zone them away. As you mentioned before, Kuro on the wing. Now it's Inhibitor turret for dinner. They
have to give this one up. SwordArT needs to go back to base. Way too low in HP.
Really nicely played from BLG. They turn the tempo on once again. Was this going to be a playoff team? Every single game I watch of them keeps telling me, yes, they deserve to be here. And boy, the way they're going against Suning, 6,000 gold lead. This game one is cementing their legacy.
These teams look better and better. Take a look at this.
And Kuro's right on in. The flash away from Smlz. Doesn't burn the heal, but it's not going to matter again. The fate's call from Mini. They won't stop. SwordArT with the flank, but can he even find anything now that all five are alive?
Yeah, quit playing games, SwordArT. Trying to act like you want to even fight. You can't touch them. Smlz is so damn low. Kuro is playing games with him right now.
This is rough. Bottom lane, mid lane, top lane, jungle. Take the bounties, take the kills. A very slow-paced game that has just evolved out of control for BLG.
It's one of the games that really make you look at ADD closely. Like, who is he really? He's that anomaly every time you see him from MVP to this squad, and you're like, oh my god, please ADD, stop it. I'm trying to tell your story
He got Roar in the Slayer. He's one level ahead of Maple, slows him down.
Oh no.
Even with Kuro coming in, he baits it by walking away, but chains won't land. Close enough, I'd say.
Dynamic duo, these two. Come into BLG and they make magic happen. Like, Jinjiao has been playing super well too, but it feels like the system that was set with his team so much more consistent. If you guys remember out there, BLG of the past, even BLG at their heights, just known for inconsistencies. They were a team that were like the magic can happen at any point. Amazing J can fly. Your rogue could get that 5-man headbutt pulverize. And if it happens, you're like, beautiful. I don't expect that next game.
No.
BLG, you get the same damn thing every game. You know what they get from them. It's just you want to count them out because each and one of these names have like failed you in the past. ADD, Kuro, Jinjiao. But coming together, they look so beautiful.
When you have the two rookies in Meteor and Mini, they join BLG and they look just as consistent as the veterans on this roster. Meanwhile, while we're looking at the top side of the map, you can see Nexus turret being pressured here and BLG sitting in the bottom side like it's nobody's business. 2 people it takes to defend.
Yeah, what can you do? This wave cannot be contested. You've seen ADD dive in the past. What's going to stop him now?
Demolish ready to be procced. ADD walking forward, level 18 on the Sion. That's the meaty truck. And BLG continue to push in. Baron buff expired a while ago, but 50 seconds until it comes up again. And even the jungler sitting mid, just pushing in with the help of these minions.
Warmogs, Frozen Heart, Gargoyle, Stoneplate, and you're just seeing Kuro on cooldown just jump in.
Culling does absolutely nothing until Mini puts the shield down. Then it might be enough, but ADD is just going to regen in a second. Get ready. Shock Blast does burn away the clone from Kuro. Meteor over the side, locked on down. The Jarvan gets out anyway, though. So that for BLG as the engage flash forward. Suning want to bring themselves back into this game. But with the Glacial Fissure down, too slow for Suning to rejoin the fight.
Yeah, you know what? It's unfortunate. BLG so low across the board. Kuro, Meteor, Mini is like, maybe we can find a fight. But who's going to start that for you? You'd say SwordArT, but SwordArT wasn't in position.
Yep.
And guess who was at front? Guess who was at the helm to say, stop it, don't touch my kids? ADD was just like slapping away skill shots left and right.
He's got 3 items, he's almost up to his 4th ADD. Where is he at the moment? He's just sitting in the mid lane, letting the wave supplement itself. He doesn't need to be at this Baron. He'll sit there, he'll wait, Baron will go down. Hacker very suspicious, but there's no way he can get out and contest this. Second Baron of the game for BLG, moments away from crushing the base.
And you just have to make it count. Take a look at the items already. ADD saying, if I can't protect you from positioning, I'll just press a button to do it. Already has Locket of the Iron Solarity for you.
Outright.
I have rarely seen this item lately, because it is just not efficient.
Yep.
But at this point, when you have this large of a gold lead, compositionally just so far ahead, you expect them to make it happen. Take a look at Jinjiao.
Okay. I was like, on a Sion. Wow.
I wouldn't be surprised, man. He actually is sitting up fairly high in the damage per minute chart.
Really
As a top laner, that is.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. Now we are about 80. Yeah.
So, like, top laner he is. But if we're just talking about Jinjiao and giving him his limelight, kill participation, like, this is actually the most impressive thing about Jinjiao. In all iterations of BLG, his kill participation has been high. We talk about him being a team fighter for his squad, and he reliably gets to those team fights and is able to always do what his team needs from him.
Yep.
And in this iteration of BLG, not only is he coming in with high kill participation, #1, ADD is as well. Both of these side laners have a, like, first place in the league in kill participation. So it's a stat that really showcases how much BLG relies on the whole team coming into it.
How comfortable they are in this split of Spring 2019. BLG putting the nail in the coffin to Suning in Game 1 is going to give them the confidence they need to move forward in this series and for the rest of the split. Strength of schedule, a big topic here for BLG, but it begins with this series.
This is going to be the last wave that BLG is going to be used. Expect them to dive on this one. Tower's low and top lane inhib is just healed up. They need to go in.
Jinjiao hopping forward. Here comes the unstoppable onslaught again onto XiaoAL, but ADD doesn't die. 4 members with the stone plate still doesn't die. Kuro into the backside, finds himself SwordArT with the help of Jinjiao. Hacker's trying to get away, but it's too late. Dismantling Smash flushed away from, but Cataclysm, it's the dunk down from BLG. And the team fighting team follow their hearts, follow their stories, and Smlz is going to follow his guns of lightning, of steel, and it's Kuro who closes them down. BLG, their mid laner, pulls out a quadra kill, and Kuro on Assassins. We talk about Jinjiao, but the mid laner as well just looks so darn good.
They had that one window, and you better believe BLG make the best of it. Such a clean-looking game from this team in a completely different style that I was expecting coming in from Kuro. We're talking about him opening up that champion pool. He's got it down tight.
Definitely does. Give him LeBlanc, and he'll make you wish you had never been born. That's a bit harsh. Maybe wish you'd never give him the LeBlanc. Maple into Kuro. Who do you favor? I asked you at the start of the game, and I kind of gave you my answer at the same time, arguably.
All right, what is it?
Definitely still Kuro.
Yep,
It has not changed.
You can't stop him. You can't. Can't happen. I think right now, Suning going up against BLG, though I look towards the individual players, and you're like, Kuro had a phenomenal performance. ADD did as well.
Oh, yeah.
I think across the board, Mini and Meteor had set this team up to succeed. They were always moving towards the dragon, always had the right vision. Base timings were wonderful. I think this is the most structured team that I've seen right now in the LPL.
Yep.
It makes a lot of sense since Coach Sim is just like right behind them. I think this team knows how to play the game, and they're one of the most disciplined teams.
Especially when you have teams like, all right, you know, you got RNG, IG, TOP, FX, all these other teams doing well.
Yep.
But disciplined and their structure being consistent seems to be the biggest part that makes you go, all right, BLG, probably going to playoffs.
Yeah, and so, I mean, at this point, we're expecting them to go. I think preseason, I was looking at this team and saying that they're going to be riding 8th place. But for BLG, with how well they've been playing, and I mean, even though their first 4 weeks was easy in terms of strength of schedule, I actually have a lot of confidence that in their last few weeks, they'll be picking up some wins.
Yep.
And so I know at this stage of the LPL, we're looking at FPX fairly closely as a team to be like, are you the best team right now in the LPL? And they still have that tough schedule to go through. The next team you start to question is BLG, because they start having that same schedule where they have to make that point that in a best of 5 they can do it. Because if I'm looking at this series and I'm saying, you know, Suning has some great players, you can't push them around. They play that style that Suning should have been the best at, better than Suning. So I love this team right now in terms of like creating their own style in what is a very tumultuous region.
Oh yeah, it was a very slow early game. I'm quite impressed with Meteor's performance too. Specifically because he is a rookie jungler and one of the only rookie junglers coming into the LPL split that has been going up and up. He had a very rough start that was a bit back and forth, but has been getting better and better.
I had a lot of faith for him coming in, and I think for a lot of teams that looked at Billy at first and who's going to be the playmaker, I saw him on Triumphant, like the LDL team. I was like, I see this, like, I see the style that he has. His style was good, and I think that he's going to be a jungler that took risks, and for him in the first few weeks, you're going to have problems if you're taking that many risks. But you learn, and it felt like that he really learned quickly.
It wasn't a one-man effort, 5-man effort, including Meteor, meaning setting up the team for success in game number 1. Suning in dire straits, don't want to continue the losses, don't want to start it up again. Game 2 to see if BLG can stamp the right down.